The pandemic years may have been a complete nightmare for most of the world, but for the tech sector, and especially those working in this space, it was a bonanza. Suddenly, there was a huge demand for digitalization in pretty much every sector. As a result, a huge demand for employees in the IT space. That trend could reverse in 2023. Now, as per a report in the Economic Times, demand for tech hires dropped by 90% in December of 2022 when compared to a year ago. Inflation and recessionary fears in the United States and Europe is one of the key reasons. Now, the question is, will 2023 be a tough year for IT employees, and will this extend to other sectors as well? To speak on this, I'm joined today by Sunil Chemmankotil, CEO of Teamlease Digital. Samir Parekh with me on the show today. He is founder of Naman HR, and Aditya Narayan Mishra, Director and CEO of Sale HR Services, also joining me on the show. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for speaking with us. Sunil, let me begin with your take on this overall premise, because there are a lot of contradictory reports out there. Some reports claim that India and the Indian tech space will be an outlier. Now you have this one report which says actual demand and open positions from tech companies have reduced in the month of December. Have you observed that trend?
Happy New Year, Tamanna, and thank you for having me on your show. Yes, to answer your question, there has been a huge dip in the hiring intent. Hiring real demand has come down compared to last year. In fact, the tightening has started happening from June itself. We have seen a 50% drop in June, and it deteriorated further as we moved to the December quarter. And here we are seeing a huge dip in hiring, unlike previous years and unlike the year of bonanza where we had a fight for talent. We see that there are no takers now. So that's the situation currently.
So to what extent have we seen the dip, and in what kind of companies? Let me go across to Samir Parekh on this. Are you also seeing that kind of a drop in demand for talent? What are the reasons, and is this across the board?
So thanks, Tamanna, for inviting me again on this show. And my take is slightly different. Although the fight for talent is no longer there as it used to be about 3 years back, I don't see a significant dip. In fact, the NASSCOM report for 2023 freshers shows some optimistic, not as it was earlier, but showing some positive trend. And I think we must also keep that in mind, that the whole trend of overhiring, which used to take place earlier, has now gone to cautious hiring. And to that extent, I think there is some slowdown. There is, interestingly, very, very good intake for IT professionals in the non-IT industries, because as you very rightly said, Tamanna, digitalization has taken place everywhere, and to support the entire digital transformation that is taking place in non-IT industries, who are actually the clients of IT industries, that's where we see good intake for IT professionals as well. So I do
Those
see...
would be fewer jobs, wouldn't it be, Samir?
Sorry?
Those would be fewer jobs.
Yeah.
In terms of open positions, those would be very few relative to within the large or even mid-sized IT companies.
So let's understand. I think the number of positions might not be that significant drop, but what used to happen earlier when an IT professional used to carry 5-7 offers in the hand, and that's where the entire scenario was looking different. Now maybe he has only 1 or 2 offers, so probably the backout ratios will significantly go down. Okay. However, I don't see that as a major challenge in terms of number of open positions. Have they significantly gone down? Because if we are talking about India, where it is not just the only big top five companies or tech companies are not present. We have large number of mid-sized companies and several startups which are now and other than ad tech sectors, there are other startups where yes, some slowdown is being seen, but not the way we feel that it is happening with the large tech companies in United States, for example. So I don't see that as a major challenge.
Um, Aditya Mishra, do you agree with that take that the number of offers, and I think he put that very well, the number of offers have gone down from 5 to 7 to 1 to 2. Frankly, to everyone else, it might not sound that bad. If you still have one or two offers to choose from compared to 5 to 7 before. But is that the case? Or are the options truly drying up in part because of the aggressive hiring of freshers by these very same companies in 2020 and 2021? They have enough bench strength.
Tamanna, thank you. I think what Sunil said is a reality that the overall demand for IT professionals has really come down because of two reasons. One is the global recessionary pressure, and many of the large organizations in the world, in different parts of the world, have tightened their purse strings. So they're not spending as much as they were on IT. Most of them are spending money on projects which are essential for their business to run day to day. The discretionary spend that CIOs had in their budgets to improve technology or to deploy something new, which could give a long-term benefit to the company, those kind of projects have been slowed down or they have been shelved. As a result, the IT service providers in India are facing challenges in terms of deploying their people. That is why the bench utilization and all of that has become an issue. So they have slowed it down. So that is one aspect of reality, the way I look at it. The second aspect of reality is the uncertainty, and from an economic perspective as well as geopolitical perspective, a lot of people, particularly the investor community, at this point in time is in a wait and watch mode. So they have adopted a little bit of a slowdown, and hence their what is being called as a funding winter. So many of the startups which were anticipating certain kind of valuation, certain kind of flow of the funds, which directly translates to hiring, has slowed down. So these are the two reasons why things have slowed down. But having said that, someone said that there is a 90% decline. I do not see a 90% decline. Our internal studies showed that in the month of November, the slowdown was to the extent of 42%. Okay. And in December, it has come down further. Traditionally speaking, December is the month where hiring in the IT sector actually comes down.
That's true, but I'm assuming you would compare year on year to December of 2021.
Yeah, so there is definitely a drop. But having said all of this, there is also a fact that there are people still who have advanced skills. They are still in demand. Someone with the full stack developer, the advanced skills of, for example, Java or advanced data science skills, they're still in demand, and they still are able to negotiate with future employers and their current employers. We recently did a study to understand what's the expectation of people about the performance appraisal and the salary hikes. So people are continuing, by people I refer to employees as a cohort, they are still expecting a big rise in their pay, even though they are seeing big tech companies have laid off and many other startups have laid off. The services companies have slowed down hiring. In spite of all these headwinds, people are still hoping that their employers will give them a big raise in their salaries. So there is a little bit of expectation mismatch
No, no.
there.
So this is interesting. People are hoping their employers will give them a big raise in salary. Sunil, what is the likelihood of that happening? And these sort of differing views on what is the extent of drop in demand for talent in the IT space?
Predominantly the IT hiring, when it comes to IT hiring, the demands, you get 70% from IT services companies. And we all know that IT services companies have kind of completely slowed down, and they are only doing need-based hiring. And that's where the whole problem exists. We can compensate that with some small number of hirings in the tech, in non-tech, as Samir was speaking, and other industries where there is some amount of hiring happening. But I definitely see a huge dip. Yes, December is normally is a very low month when it comes to hiring, but the trends also speak a lot about how things are shaping up. And that's where the concern is. We normally have open positions in December, but they don't hire owing to the holiday season. Currently, when we close the December month, we don't have enough open positions like what we used to have in the earlier years. So that raises a concern that the coming quarter is also going to be a slow quarter. That's one. And second, on the expectation of hike, yes, the expectation is always from the employees to get a very good hike, but I don't see that happening this year. It's going to be a muted increment, which actually employees should expect, because when the market was hunting for talent, I think a lot of people got a huge hike, and the cost optimization is very key to improve the metrics for IT companies. So I don't see a huge hike. They can expect, but it may not happen. That's one. And second is that, as I agree with Aditya, there are certain skills. We identified around 10 skills in our study where there is still a dearth of talent, and the requirements are still open, and that will continue in the next year also. And those are the skills where they can expect better compensation, and they have it's a candidate driven market, and they still hold good terms when it comes to negotiation.
Okay, Isis, we've been talking about this in the context of the IT space, but we know that export-dependent businesses will have a tough time. You had the IMF chief say that we're going to face a global recession in large parts of the world, the developed world, next year. What is the kind of impact that's going to have on the job space in India overall, even beyond IT? Let me start with Sunil once again for a view on that.
India has demonstrated a lot of resilience, and we are hoping that it will continue to demonstrate that there is a huge amount of financialization and industrialization happening across, with various PLI schemes and government policies. So that will ensure that the jobs are created, and we might be better off compared to the rest of the world. The export driven industries like IT particularly, which is predominantly export driven, will face certain challenges, but I don't see similar issue in other industries, like whether if you take BFSI or if you take telecom, all these industries, we see that we expect that it may not see that kind of a impact.
Samir, your take on this, which sectors do you think will be more resilient?
I think as far as exports are concerned, definitely they are coming under pressure, and that's what we might see with IT service companies. But then India has a fairly large manufacturing economy, and with the PLI becoming fairly successful in some of the sectors and might expand to other sectors, and we'll be keenly watching budget for that. I do see good scope for job creation in the manufacturing economy. So that's one part. The second aspect for IT talent also, other than IT service company, the global capability centers, the GCCs as we call them, they are another big time employer for IT talent. And there have been quite a few movement in that area. Some reports say that more than 50 new GCCs came to India in 2022. And many of them are already doing brownfield expansion. And so is the case of in manufacturing economy also, capex is picking up, mainly because of also the whole equilibrium getting disturbed on the economy that was originating from China. I mean, the supply economy that was originating from China. So I think I'm quite bullish, to be very frank. Of course, I do see less options to choose from. I do see that the increments or the raises this year will not be as high as it used to be earlier. Employees will always expect more, but I don't see more than 12. I mean, on an average, 12% could be the one. And yes, as far as the whole options available with the employees are concerned, they are going to be limited.
Okay, Aditya, your outlook for 2023, and especially when we expand it beyond the IT sector to other sectors as well, which ones do you think will be the most hard pressed?
I think all other sectors, I feel, would do well subject to two conditions. One is that the kind of policy interventions that we will see in the budget, which might improve the investments, public capex, as well as the private sector participation in those large infrastructure projects. And then, so that's the construction and infrastructure sector. I think it will be very positive, and government will make all the efforts, all the interventions that are possible to boost that particular sector, because that core sector of the economy, if it gets boosted, it creates jobs, and hence the consumption economy gets kicked off. Then the second part, I think the industries which are like extremely globally connected, for example, the PE, VC industry, private equity, venture capital, where foreign institutional capital inflow into the country. So those might be under pressure because of the global economic condition. We do not think that this global economic condition is going to improve in the next 2 or 3 quarters in any significant way. So the sectors which are dependent on some of these would have a negative impact. Otherwise, positively, I think the government will make all the impact that is possible. Tourism, travel, hospitality, as a sector, I think that the government will provide some boosters because those are extremely labor-intensive industry, and hence it creates job opportunities. If the consumption economy gets kicked off, then this travel, tourism, hospitality, and all of this services as a sector would also improve. These are the positive outlooks that overall, if you have to look at, possibly IT services, pharma exports, and some manufacturing exports will come under pressure. But I think our Indian consumer goods, financial services, manufacturing, construction, and the domestic consumption of pharma will improve, provided these two factors are taken in.
Absolutely. So we have to see it's going to be a mixed bag. At least the first quarter of the calendar year might look tough.
Yeah, as such, Tamanna, the IT employment is only 0.8% of the labor workforce is IT, actually.
Exactly.
But those are the movers and shakers. We get a lot of attention on IT. The balance is all in the rest of the industries, and going by my co-panelist and even my view, there is a lot of hope for jobs in the coming year in the rest of the industries.
All right.
Yeah,
so
we are optimistic here.
All right. So overall, 2023 does not look as bad as it might for export-oriented sectors and for the rest of the world. There may be, though, fewer options, and don't expect massive pay hikes. Those are the key takeaways from this conversation. Thank you to all of you for joining us today.
Thanks, Tamanna.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Tamanna.
India welcomes those who further India's